Hello, fellow anti-novelist, Lilligans, curious onlookers, and friends. Welcome to this episode of Zettelkasten for Fiction, where imagination finds order, the book that I'm writing for you to help you get your book written. So today I have been working very deep in Chapter 6, particularly Chapter 6, Part B, which is all about the antagonist. So there is a misconception that an antagonist and a villain are the same thing. Oh, no, no, no. An antagonist is simply an obstacle. So when you think of it in terms of being an author putting a story together, you need more obstacles to keep your story interesting than simply a big bad villain, okay? You need some smaller things along the way that can provide speed bumps, that can provide slowdowns, that can provide misdirections. An antagonist can provide all kinds of cool things, and, dun dun dun, an antagonist doesn't even have to be a person. I'm going to cover in a later chapter antagonist by proxy, which includes things like weather, things like an existing catch point in a city, things like a natural or a man-made disaster. There's all kinds of things that can provide an antagonist by proxy. I've even seen a boulder used as an antagonist. Looking at you, Kathleen Spracklin, author of Writing with Emotion. Anything can work as an antagonist if you do it with craft. So let's take a look at a few of the things that I have packed into this chapter for you. When you're creating an antagonist, it can be something as simple as an attitude or an emotion. So clearly, someone can have an attitude about something that causes them to get in the way of your main character's progress. Sit down, if you're taking my advice here, sit down with a stack of note cards and line out for yourself the possibilities of things that could be great attitude or emotional obstacles. So a great emotion that could provide an obstacle is jealousy. In my chapter, I give you an example where what if your main character's best friend has a secret crush on them, and therefore when that main character has a romantic interest in another character, all of a sudden that jealousy is triggered because of the crush. That is a great emotional obstacle. It doesn't mean that the best friend is evil or even a bad person. It just means that their predisposed feeling of having feelings for this main character is making them roadblock that character's path to romance. That could be very interesting, especially if you're writing romance. Next on the list are values and ideals. What kinds of values or ideals could a character hold that would cause them to be a catch point or an obstacle to another character's progress? Just sit down and think that out. What does this main character value? And then what value could you give to a side character in order to create some kind of obstacle or antagonistic force? That could be a good one too. I've got misunderstanding and misinformation. These are another great set of examples of ways that you can have tension or friction between characters because of a misunderstanding or because one character's been given misinformation about another, and therefore they're acting in a way that is providing a block in that character's path. That is good antagonism. And finally, I've got pre-existing bias. That's a simple one. That's just what exists in that antagonist's history, in the way they see the world, in the things that they've learned about the world, or in the things that they understand about this other character, that could be a bias which causes them to act in such a way that they're providing a roadblock for that other character's progress. So that's a high-level view of what the reason that an antagonist is written into your story. And you can have these, which is when it gets really exciting. You can have them at all different levels. You can have one antagonist that has an attitude problem. You can have another one that has a disagreement based on values. Maybe the attitude problem is a coworker, and the disagreed values takes place in the character's boss. Well, that's a bit of a problem. And then you've got yet another one going on when there's a misunderstanding between the character and their family. Now you've got that character fighting obstacles on 3 different fronts, so you're building up that dramatic tension. perfect example because it means you don't have to have bombs blowing up. You don't have to have major drama and crazy, Hollywood big blockbuster movie style conflicts. You can just have these simple one-to-one interpersonal conflicts that are driven by antagonistic attitudes that really ramp up the tension, ramp up the anxiety, and make for a compelling narrative that drives your reader through. So that is a look at some of the things that I've packed into Chapter 6, Part B on the antagonist. So I'm going to continue writing next on the protagonist, who that's a whole nother set of apples that I need to unpack. So I've had a tooth removed. I'm a little loopy and I'm a little sore, so I'm going to leave this video here for today, but I will feel awesome when I wake up tomorrow. I will pick up where I left off and continue walking you through these chapters that I'm writing for you on how to break down these groups of characters and how to write them so that they are compelling and believable and they are satisfying for your readers. So thank you as always for your attention. I have officially reached over 100 pre-order interest in my book. I cannot thank you enough. That makes me so happy to know that there are exactly 104 of you who are interested in getting the first crack at getting your hands on my book. That puts me over the moon. Thank you so very much. Keep up the likes, keep up the subscribing. I'm grateful for every single one of you, and I will keep hammering out this book so that I can get it into your hands. Have a great rest of your day or evening wherever you are, and I will see you tomorrow.